today on episode 15 of the Sean and Bo Show. A tragic weekend in the world of sports and entertainment as we witness the passing of Kevin Ward Jr. and Robin Williams.
And on a lighter note, Sean, Johnny Manziel got underway on the gridiron, and there's plenty of preseason football action coming your way.
Plus, if you ever wanted to eat dinner with Terrell Owens, Bo, put away your checkbook. I'll tell you how you can make that a reality coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you very much for tuning in to the Sean and Bo Show, episode 15. I'm Sean O'Donnell, along with my co-host, Bo Greer. Bo, what's happening, man?
Episode 15, Sean.
Almost 4 months of this already.
That is amazing. You know, we're lasted longer than some of the comedies on Fox.
That's right.
We're doing pretty good.
We haven't been canceled yet.
Yeah, we're still rolling. You know, if your family ever decides to throw us out of here, I guess that's the form of being canceled. They get tired of hearing us back here gabbing away. The man gossip, sports talk.
That's right, Bo. Well, before we get to this week's stories, very sad today. We heard the news just before we got rolling here that Robin Williams, beloved actor, comedian, had taken his own life, presumably, earlier this morning. And that's a bummer right there. This guy, I'd heard, it was probably about 6 weeks ago that he had gotten back into rehab, not because he was back using, but just as like a precautionary measure. He just kind of wanted to make sure he was all right. So he'd obviously been dealing with some recent depression. His last sitcom got canned, but geez, man, that's a real loss. You know, that's certainly an actor who appeared in so many of our generation's childhood favorites, Bo. You know, I mean, there were so many movies that we could talk about that were just great and instrumental 80s and 90s hits, you know, that we loved as kids.
The man is a classic. He's one of those guys that they're the pioneers of that comedic, guy being on the road, struggling, getting himself on NBC, you know, doing some TV shows, doing a little Saturday Night Live, making his way out to Hollywood. And then we all know, you know, the Oscar award-winning career that he had. It's just sad. I've dealt with suicide personally. I'm sure there's a million people out there with their own stories of friends, family members, coworkers, loved ones. It's sad. And I seen a statement about his wife had released. And, you know, you just think about, you know, she lost her best friend. And in these times, I think we all need to step back and, you know, maybe tell the people we care about that you love them and let people mourn because they do need their privacy. They were going through some real stuff there. And
that wasn't the only sad story of the weekend, Bo. At this point, I mean, everybody's heard about this, but Tony Stewart was involved in a fatal accident. He struck and killed another driver, Kevin Ward Jr., and that's another just unfortunate story. Kevin Ward Jr. was only 20 years old. Yeah. He was involved in a crash that, might have involved Tony Stewart's car as well. He got out of his immobile vehicle and just started like marching across the track, pointing at Tony Stewart, and unfortunately got struck by the front passenger side tire. It looked like there.
Yeah, growing up around racing, my grandfather, he owned a garage. My dad, my uncles, they all had us around drag strips. And back in the 70s and 80s, they did more dirt track racing. And my father's actually in town this weekend. So we talked about that. And that's one thing I was telling you off the mics was my father was just telling stories left and right about people getting hit by tires in the pits, run over by cars. There's a story about someone, getting hurt standing in the stands. And you're just like, these things have been going on. And this is the first time where it's like a NASCAR champion, a guy you see on commercials, a brand new video game that NASCAR just released. My son loves playing it because he loves going the opposite way on the track and causing horrific accidents. Has Tony Stewart on the case. He's the man who teaches you how to drive a stock car. He is not just a normal figure in the sport.
Certainly a celebrity in the world of racing.
Being from Indiana, I know for a fact people that are from his hometown talk about how his gates are always open If he's got his gates open and his cars are out front and he's waxing them or shooting hoops, you can go up Tony Stewart's house and he'll take a picture with you, show you his stuff. He's just a regular old guy. And that's the same reason he's out there on that track. I hate seeing it because what people don't know, I grew up with a kid who inherited a dirt track in southern Indiana, Tri-State Motor Speedway in Hopstad, Indiana. It's actually been featured on the Speed Network a few times. They work day and night endlessly to get a guy like Tony Stewart to come to their track for one night, once every 5 years, so they can pack the stands, sell tickets to twice the value, and probably pay off 3 years of debt. You know,
Sure. Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a bummer. It's a bummer for the sport. It's a bummer for small time Saturday night racing, because you've seen the video. If you're listening to this podcast, you're the type of person that you watch the video the minute you heard about it. So we can all sit here and form our own opinions in our heads, but we know that kid was walking across a racetrack and he was blind with rage, and Tony Stewart shouldn't be blamed. I was sickened with Colin Cowherd's comments on ESPN. If you heard him earlier today, the fact that he was playing region and he was putting death row murder rate statistics out there, comparing regions of the South and why Tony Stewart should lose sponsorship. Let's stay on earth, Colin Cowherd. I mean, people,
somebody a 20-year-old kid just died.
Yeah.
Is right now the time to talk about potential sponsorship losses?
stay on earth, man.
But,
Gosh.
not just Colin Cowherd, but pretty much every syndicated sports show out there has had a lot of speculation as to the details about the crash itself, who was at fault, et cetera, et cetera. And not to beat that to death, but I think the best opinion on this that I've come across, and I'm certainly no racing expert, so I appreciate this insight, was from a crew member on Chuck Hebbing's number 45 Carbo. Now, if you remember the video, this was the car directly in front of Tony Stewart that just narrowly avoided hitting Ward Jr. before Stewart inevitably did. And so this is a guy, Mark Chavanovitz, who is a crew member for that number 45 car. And he tweeted, I have driven these cars. The right side board on the top wing will block out an entire car, let alone a person standing there. I now work on the 45 car in the video, and the driver said he just saw him in the last second and just missed him. Tony had even less time to react to the situation. People in the stands or watching this video have no idea how fast these things happen and how limited our view is inside that car. It was a very bad turn of events that happened, but we all know the dangers involved in the sport we love.
Yeah, I've sit inside of a few sprints in my time. I had a friend, Kyle Cummins in Southern Indiana. He used to race them, and I had another buddy out here I met, and his uncle actually builds them. And yes, there is a huge blind spot, but that car is meant to be cocked sideways going around a corner at 78 mile an hour, and then it mashes up to 130. Depending on the size of the track, that car will get up to 140 mile an hour down the straightaway before they drift off into the corner. It's made to be driven at an angle, and that blind spot, yes, it can hide a car, and that's why you see the accidents you do. But this kid he was in the wrong. And then the track officials, they usually have big burly guys out there that played college football, in some southern small town, and their job, you've seen videos like this before if you are a race fan like I am, where there's a guy grabbing the driver and pulling him back before he does get ran over. Because I've been to so many tracks where a guy gets put in a wall, Sean, he gets out, takes his helmet, and throws it at the guy coming around.
Well, I mean, speaking of, Tony Stewart is a person that's done that. Granted, when he did it, it was in pit row and it wasn't on the open track, but it's a real problem in NASCAR. I mean, you've seen everybody from Jeff Gordon to Danica Patrick throwing these tantrums, and I think the inevitability of this tragedy is that there's going to be rules.
That car is moving.
It's going to be like football, where in college football, if you take if your helmet comes off, you're out the next play. Well, I have a feeling it's going to be some sort of and I don't know exactly how they're going to do this because I don't believe there's like a unified body for all a dirt track or anything like that. But I can tell you that I think at least in NASCAR, if you leave your vehicle for any other reason beside it being on fire or you being in some sort of immediate danger, in the future, I would think that there's going to be both heavy fines imposed and automatic suspensions. They do not want this to happen ever again.
You're right about that, and you just think. Speaking of other incidents, oh gosh, all the times I've seen guys get rolled over in the pits on a Sunday on national TV and they walk away or they just twist their ankle. You're like, this is the ugly side of that. And you realize we are just one swerve away from some guy that's cleaning up a wreck from that happening on Sunday on Fox or ESPN, because that happened on a small town track in New York. And I seen it on YouTube when I was eating my bacon and eggs Sunday morning. Just imagine how big this would be if it was like prime time Daytona 500. Because yes, you're right. There needs to be rules because these guys do run out there. And in the past, they've allowed this because it sells tickets. But I think now what you're going to see, the guys in the blue jump fire suits who come to the accidents, I bet they'll get right to the driver, get in the ambulance, and we're getting out of here. You don't get to do anything anymore. It's going to change. I think you're right. It'll go all the way up to the top. I think NASCAR and a lot of small tracks, they will change rules because the states actually have sanctioning bodies. New Mexico has a sanctioning body. Pennsylvania, every state has a sanctioning body that governs and makes the rules for these tracks.
All right. Well, on a lighter note, Bo, this was probably my favorite story of the last week. I don't even know how something like this happens without somebody like who actually has some sense stepping in and stopping this. But Florida State thought it would be a good idea to start a Twitter campaign in order to promote some video that came out promoting the last season's Heisman winner, Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
So they started a Twitter campaign, hashtag askjameis, which encouraged fans to ask questions of the quarterback, and it went absolutely hilariously wrong, Bo. Here's some of my favorite tweets at hashtag askjameis. Let's see here. From fake Bo Pelini, hashtag AskJameis. Of all the coaches you have played for over the years, why did you steal those crab legs? Here's another one.
Oh, God.
If the Publix employees are in cover 2 and you are running a spread flex week with the crab legs, what do you do?
Oh, my goodness.
Aside from your game, how much has your use/comprehension of the English language improved this offseason?
Oh, it's horrible. That kid can't. Ugh. Enunciate, like, put a sentence together, my man.
Hashtag AskJameis. What's your favorite class? English, speech, women's studies, or criminal justice? At Jameis Winston. Is life better down where it's wetter under the sea?
Wow.
Let's see. What's harder for you, stealing crab legs or trying to read these tweets? And I think the one that just finishes it all out. Hashtag AskJameis. Maybe the Tallahassee police can hop on hashtag AskJameis and finally question him.
Oh, boy. Boom.
Yeah, so that was going on. That was going on Twitter over the weekend, and just hilarious. I mean, you have to have. You've got a journalism department at Florida State. You know, you've got communication professors. Surely someone could have stopped this from happening, Bo.
I don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words because I want to go off on this whole tangent about if I was able to come back in a second life, I would want to be the fly on the wall when decisions like this are being made, because I want to see everybody look each other in the eye and say, this is a great idea.
Oh, this will go over great.
Oh my gosh. We're all going to be working for the New York Times.
And that's pretty much what FSU sports information director Elliot Feinblum had to say. Quote, I knew there was going to be some negativity going into it. The goal of the Twitter Q&A was to continue to find ways to connect our fans and the players they support. That's important to us, and social media is a big way of doing it these days. That was the ultimate goal.
But don't put him out there. Golly, that's like the Ravens putting Ray Rice and Ray Lewis Twitter account. Hey, ask Ray and Ray a question.
What's the best way to get blood out of a white suit?
Ray, when you're carrying your unconscious girlfriend in Atlanta casino or Atlantic City casino, how do you keep her hair from getting caught in the floor in the doorways? I mean, golly.
At Ray Rice, if you're in a confined area such as an elevator, is a left hook or a right cross the better punch to throw?
Oh, man. So, this is why guys like you and I can sit here and have a podcast, because we have as much sense as a person who has a machine and the money like Florida State behind them. Because I know if I worked in that department, I'd look everybody in the eye and be like, you can do this the day I retire from this job, because I'm not going to get fired over this. What's that guy's name again that did this?
Well, this is just the sports information director.
Well, whoever was in charge of it, I'm pretty sure he has an option like this that came down from the athletic department. You can move into waste management, cleanup crew around campus, or you can just get the hell out of here, buddy, because that is dumb. I'm pretty sure Jameis is not even allowed to have a cell phone right now because they're afraid he's going to tweet something back. This is going to affect him. Florida State, I don't get behind the Florida State bandwagon this year because they have so many distractions.
Couple of arrests over the weekend, Bo. First, charges. It's still kind of a rumor. There's no arrest been filed. But Marshawn Lynch of the Seahawks is under investigation for an alleged assault and damage to personal property. And all the articles are being very certain to mention that there's no allegation of domestic violence or sexual harassment or anything like that. But apparently this happened at a woman's apartment at like 2:30 a.m., which, we know nothing good ever happens around that time. And the investigation's pending. I have a feeling this will pan out over the next few days, but it doesn't seem like, from what I've been reading, doesn't seem like very strong allegations, so it might be total BS. But the one that's not BS, Greg Oden, former top draft pick in the NBA, he was arrested at his mother's suburban home in Lawrence, Indiana on Thursday, charged with battery for allegedly punching his ex-girlfriend in the face during a fight. The official charge is felony battery, resulting in serious bodily injury, misdemeanor domestic battery, and misdemeanor battery resulting in serious bodily injury.
Yeah, apparently something happened involving their waterbed, and she had yelled something from the master bedroom saying something about bust. And he misheard what she was bringing
up. That's cold, though. That is cold, man.
You're as cold as ice.
As we see more and more of these domestic violence situations in the NFL, the NBA, pretty much every single major sports league, I think it's high time that they stop the lip service about all the things these leagues do for women. Get rid of the breast cancer awareness, pink ribbon bullshit, and I'd say focus on domestic violence. That seems to be a cause that's, a little bit more close to home with these leagues and with these athletes.
Yeah, well, I also want to point out that it's just amazing to me that we're here in 2014, Sean. We know the world has changed as I'm looking at your laptop, this microphone, my smartphone, the flat screen TV. But why is it that when my grandfather watched the NFL, nobody ever got in a fight with their wife? There was never any domestic violence reported. No, it was going on.
Just no smartphones.
We live in a time where, yes, it's wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say, domestic violence, the 50s were better because people looked the other way. No, we live in a time where we are taught to report. We get things out in the open because people need help. We understand that head doctors, therapists, and shrinks actually have a place in our society now. You're not loony if you go see someone with glasses and a clipboard to help you figure out your problems. It's real. Depression's real. We were just talking about Robin Williams. And, people want to point fingers at, it's the NFL. It's Major League Baseball. It's this. My favorite example of life when it comes to celebrities is Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. had been asked for the millionth time, how are you dealing with the death of your father? We all know what happened to the late Dale Sr. And Dale just finally looks at the camera and says, you know what? My buddy works in a mill in South Carolina, which I was like, yeah, that's about what people do around there.
Yeah.
His dad died on Friday. Guess what? He's got to go to work on Monday. We forget that just things happen to everybody, whether you're Dale Jr., you're Greg Oden, you're Robin Williams, or you're Tony Stewart, or some kid trying to make his way up the NASCAR ranks on a dirt track. Sometimes I think the 24-hour news cycles make us pay more attention to these things than we should. Greg Oden and his wife, I wish them the best because I have a wife and things are not always great with people. And you got to work out your problems. And I hope they figure out a way to work it out and get past this.
Yeah, except if you're a professional athlete, I would really hope that working out your problems doesn't involve beating the snot out of a woman.
Well, yeah.
I mean, come on now.
I know.
It's like,
but everybody has these problems. Just NFL players and politicians and CEOs are not the only people to ever lay their hands on their wife.
they're all scumbags. Who cares?
But that's what I'm saying.
I don't care if it's your neighbor or a professional athlete or...
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. I think it's all bad. I don't think the fact that, crime happens excuses the criminal.
Yeah. But we as a society, I think we pay so much attention to, I don't know, we put these things up there it's almost like a pedestal with the school shootings. Like they say with assassinations, nobody remembers Hinckley's name because he didn't succeed. But if I ask you who killed Kennedy and who killed Lincoln, you're
CIA,
just boom.
CIA.
Yeah, well, we can get into conspiracy, but it's almost like you just glorified. Now Greg Oden, who was a bust, who really didn't do anything anywhere, is in the news because of a domestic dispute. To me, now, 2014, Greg Oden is just another guy from Indiana. He might as well be me.
She should have kicked him in that knee of his.
Oh, man.
All right, coming up, Bo, an update to the Jerry Jones photo scandal, plus NFL preseason, Bo and I's reaction to our teams, the Johnny Football saga, and how you can maybe have dinner or play a round of golf with your favorite athlete, maybe your favorite coach. I'll tell you how you can actually make that a reality. It's coming up on the Sean and Bo Show.
Hello, podcast fans. Adam Carolla here. I'm leading the fight against patent trolls who are threatening this medium. It's not about me. It's about the podcast you're listening to right now. If I go down, this show could be next. Visit fundanything.com/patent troll for more information on how you can keep podcasting alive. Thank you and mahalo.
Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show. Before I get off on my main man, Jerry Jones, I just want to remind all you loyal Sean and Bo Show listeners, can we get a nickname for these guys? The Hulkamaniacs and all that. We need to come up with a nickname for our loyal listeners. I know there's about 60 of you people out there, and I love it. Love every one of you. But check us out on Podomatic. Tell your friends. You can still find us on YouTube. Share the show with somebody, and, don't be afraid to throw us on at a party because every time I do it, people listen and they like it and they refer it to a friend.
Nothing gets the party started more than sports talk.
Yeah. Hey, man, if you're around my crew, it's all about sports. I'm doing fantasy mock drafts in the garage right now. We got 2 channels with the NFL Network watching the same game. That's how addicted we are. You got to see it on 2 different TVs. But, my man Jerry Jones, Sean, he disappears. I'm watching the just slashing the Cowboys received in the preseason game against the Chargers.
We'll get to that in a minute.
And I'm like, for the first time ever, because as you know, we're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, so we're in the Cowboys market. We get them on TV. And I'm watching out in the garage, drinking my beer, and I'm looking, and I'm like, Jerry's not there. Jerry always does the pregame show in the end zone with a few of the Cowboys greats, and he sends out his son. His son got to do the guy that cleans his glasses, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's hilarious because I'm telling my dad, my father, he had listened to our show and found out about the pictures and seen them online after we had discussed them. So my dad is asking me, has anything surfaced about Jerry? And I'm like, no, I haven't heard anything about Jerry Jones. And we're like, well, he's not going to miss a game, because if you know Jerry Jones, he doesn't miss a sideline opportunity. He doesn't miss an opportunity to sit in front of a camera with a mic and talk about Tony Romo and how much he loves the Dallas Cowboys, And when that happened, you're like, oh, this is a big deal. Well, Jerry's in hiding.
Well, first of all, if you didn't see the pictures that we're talking about, you can see them on our Twitter. I retweeted the link. It's at Sean and Bo Show. And if you want to hear the segment we did on it, go to seanandboshow.podomatic.com. But we do finally have an update to this story, Bo. Such a declarative statement from Mr. Jones. Speaking Sunday night to the Dallas Morning News, Jerry said, quote, "Someone has misrepresented." Just let that sink in for a second. "Someone has misrepresented photos taken at a restaurant 5 years ago for their own purposes. I'm just not going to comment on it." And then they asked him a follow-up question. And he said, again, "That's all I'd like to get into on that." And that was it. So
wow.
You go look at those photos again, people, and you tell me if Mr. Jones was misrepresented. I mean, maybe he's just trying to invent a new backwards hug on that young lady, or
maybe that toilet in that restaurant needed his services.
Yeah.
Jerry being a billionaire, she assumes this guy's not rich for anything. He's got to know how to fix the toilet.
Turn a wrench.
Yeah, let's get him back there in the back and let me take a leak in this toilet. We'll film it, and then Jerry can fix it.
Maybe he thought the girls were actresses. He was working out a new scene for an upcoming Sandler movie.
Now, is there any of those like CSI types out there that can get that picture and do some of that magic and see if it was really 5 years old? Is there a way?
Well, I did see, I was doing some independent research on this, Bo, very important.
Yeah.
And I saw what these young ladies look like now, because TMZ found them and interviewed them, and they were screaming that they were victims just like Jerry Jones. But they are, in fact, adult dancers, I guess you could call them. They're in the arts.
Jerry was getting the old steak and lobster tail special at the local gentleman's club. It wasn't a regular restaurant.
Yeah, it was full service. They were just making sure that he enjoyed his meal. Yeah, that's all that was happening there.
Yeah, they want to make sure that it goes in and comes out with ease.
That is disgusting. All right, NFL preseason in full swing, Bo. We both had a chance to see our two teams perform. Myself, Kansas City Chiefs fan, obviously Bo, a Cowboys fan. And for my part, I thought the Chiefs looked great, man. Exciting plays, pick sixes, rookie D'Anthony Thomas doing a punt return. Oh, it's an exciting season, Bo. It's a great time to be alive. How did your Cowboys look?
We had 5 guys on the field that had just got off a plane and put on a Cowboys uniform for the first time. Our whole defense is hurt. I want to say we have, in every position on the defense, there's at least one guy on the injured list right now. It's horrible. Other teams around the league, things that I saw, because like I said, I have been sitting in a garage since the opening of the preseason on, was that Thursday night, Wednesday night, whatever. I have been watching all these games. There are teams out there that when their ones are in, I'm really not focused on that, because the battles for the 2s and the 3 spots, when they come in, that's where you're seeing real football. The ones right now are kind of just going in, they're running a few routes and they're gone. But the battles that took place with the Detroit Lions, that was a good game to see. Their offense looks healthy. The thing that I was looking for there, man, was, what's his name? He was with the Colts and he went to the Ravens, helped them in the Super Bowl, their new coach. Blah, 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 blah. Caldwell.
Jim Caldwell.
Jim Caldwell. You can see. They said that the Detroit Lions are leading the NFL in full padded practices right now. You could see their physicality. You could see how crisp they were. And if I know what Caldwell's trying to do, if what he did with the Colts, what he'd like to do with the Ravens, he's going to start fast, try and get up in that division, because when the weather changes, he's going to be ready for a physical game. That's why I think them boys are hitting right now. I'm talking a lot about the Lions because I like them. I really did. I think I saw something there. I'm looking over my shoulder right now, Sean. We have the Patriots and the Redskins on. Cousins, he's a solid backup. Wanting to see what's going to happen over there with Chucky's little brother. He just came over from Cincinnati, right? He's the offensive coordinator. Is that him? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, Chucky had a brother.
Yeah, his little brother, Gruden's little brother, Jay Gruden.
Oh, yeah.
Jay Gruden, he's over there on the sideline working with the quarterbacks. It'll be interesting to see because he could like a guy like Cousins. I see a lot of Big Ten names around the Washington Redskins, and I wonder if that's some sort of connection because Chucky and his brother are Big Ten guys. They like those kind of guys, and now he's with the Washington Redskins, and like I'm looking at their guys on the field, and I'm like, golly, they got the whole Michigan State, Purdue, Indiana roster. You know, they got all kinds of guys coming out of the Big Ten.
The game that most of the sports nation was focused on was the first play of Mr. Jonathan Football, Johnny Manziel. Now, let me just say this. I didn't get to see it live. I had it on the DVR. I was working. And Bo, for these preseason games, DVR is the way to go. If you're only interested in seeing, maybe a position battle or a particular quarterback play, and you don't care about seeing the punt returns, the kickoffs, and extra points, and blah, 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 it's great. I tried it once before with the Super Bowl, actually. I DVR'd it. I waited, 30 minutes when the game was going, and then I started watching it. So that way I could fast forward through all the commercials, all the commentators, and that's the way to go with a game like that or
That's
a
a good
preseason
idea.
game. It was great. It was a great way to watch it. But Johnny Manziel, impressive. Looked good.
7 for 11, 63 yards, and he rushed for another 27. I'm a fantasy football guy. You're going to hear me talk about that as my seasons get underway. That's going to be tempting for a lot of you rookie fantasy guys out there. You're thinking, oh, man, he's going to throw for 200 yards and rush for 75 every game, 3 touchdowns. No, don't get too excited.
I think he's going to start, though.
Out.
I think he's going to get the start.
Oh, he's going to get the start.
You noticed the narrative going from, Hoyer is our starter. Hoyer is going to start week 1 to now they're saying that Johnny Manziel is going to get equal reps in practice.
The thing that hasn't been discussed, and I think they saw it, my friends were talking about it, Johnny Manziel's got a live arm. That little boy's got a cannon.
Yeah.
He could have played professional baseball at second base, and that's because he can rifle that ball. And when people seen that at the NFL level, because I think a lot of people assume that there's such a speed difference between Division I. In the SEC, Big 12, Pac-16, those are the same guys that go in the NFL for 5-6 years, and it's the same speed. But Manziel, that ball had that zip. And whenever you see that zip, that extra that's where he can fit it in between that cover corner and that safety and get that pass in there for the long yards. And I think that's what's going to bring a lot of people around to this is not just he's going to kind of battle for this position and come in special packages. This is real.
Now,
Johnny Manziel's a franchise quarterback.
Now, Bo, we might have to start the show a little later next Monday night because how's this for your only game on Monday night? Cleveland at Washington.
Interesting.
Johnny Football versus RG3. Maybe Arakpo will get a hit on Johnny Manziel. We might see some more pressure than we saw.
They're running read.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The pressure is going to go up because now there's a little bit of tape out, and if they're going to try and run some read option, obviously guys in the NFL, it's like they're offended. Whenever defensive players, they're like, you are not running option in the NFL. This is the shield. We are too fast and too sound for you to execute this play because really option, what it plays on is, it's a little bit of deception. And you're just, getting a backer or a defensive end to crush down too quick or squeeze in, and you get around the edge and maybe pitch the ball and you get a big play. But in the NFL, everybody's sound. They play responsibilities. They carry out their responsibilities real well. So that will be interesting. We may have to just kind of push the show a little bit for that one.
So other players that caught your eye, Bo, did you catch any Bridgewater or what other players? Because it sounds like you watched a little bit more preseason than I did so far.
Teddy Bridgewater, let's have his stats here, 5 for 13, 49 yards. Yeah. But the thing because Norv Turner doesn't seem to be all up in arms, so when I hear that as a fan and a high school football coach and having a little bit of football knowledge, having played college, when you go into scrimmages, we used to do this in spring ball, you do this when you maybe scrimmage another team in a junior college setting or something or high school, you don't show them everything. You're not going to show them what they're going to see in the season. So if Norv Turner knows he was running a watered-down playbook with just a couple reads, he did exactly what North Turner wanted him to do. The thing that caught my eye about Bridgewater is I always say, being a high IQ quarterback doesn't mean that you can solve the, theory of relativity. It means that you're the guy that's, I have Jennings. Greg Jennings plays for my team. The owner of this team who drafted me and gave me money gave him a whole lot of money. If I give the ball to him, they're going to automatically think, hey, play this kid.
He's a team player.
Yeah. No, he's going to put the ball in the hands of the guy who sells the tickets. And the first pass Bridgewater threw in the NFL was a 21-yard pass to Greg Jennings. And that catches my eye because that means he gets it. He's like, oh, look, there's Greg Jennings running across the field. I'll throw it to him. He's not trying to do anything crazy or create. He's not stuck with a bunch of lackluster performances like Manziel was. Golly, how many passes hit receivers in the chest or the knees for Manziel and they dropped them? You understand, people, the difference in organizations. The Browns don't have diddly, and the Minnesota Vikings have the pieces. They're just waiting on a guy to come be a field general.
Before we get off the NFL, Bo, the Manning boys are back with another rap video for the season. Did you see this yet?
Not yet.
It's all over Facebook. It's bad, as you could expect. It's called Fantasy Football Fantasy.
Wow.
And it's to debut a new Red Zone fantasy channel. The production's good. I can say that. I mean, it kind of sounds like a modern rap video.
Okay.
But I just hope they stop. And by the way,
they are from Louisiana.
By the way, seeing Peyton Manning without pads on,
he's an alien.
He looks like a postman, not a quarterback.
He is an alien.
He doesn't look like an athlete. How does he do that?
Have you ever looked at how the right shoulder on his body sits a little bit bulkier? You're just his whole body was built for football. I often wonder if in the locker room he just looks like a Ken doll. He just is except he's a Ken doll with He-Man's right arm. He's got He-Man's right arm on him because that guy's neck, if you look at his neck, that's what I worried about after the surgery. His neck has to sit 6 inches away from his rotator cuff. He's just built like a freaking quarterback. That's all he could have ever done with his life. No, he couldn't have been a postman. He would have broke down in the winters. He's got to play in a dome.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's true. All right, some big news in the Bo household, maybe. New NCAA ruling on the O'Bannon case, Bo. What's the latest on this?
Well, Friday, the federal courts handed down a judgment and ruled in the favor of Mr. O'Bannon. He played for UCLA, won a national title there. And first he had sued the EA Sports, if you heard the earlier episodes where we had discussed, I feel like I'm owed a little bit of money. And I went and had sat down with a few lawyers. They gave me some more contact information because, as you might guess, people, this is not necessarily something a lot of attorneys do. Most attorneys just do divorce and DWI litigation. So trying to get involved with this is a job, but the NCAA ruled that $5,000 a year is the cap. Universities can choose to go lower, so that's going to create some sort of problem for universities who feel like they don't make as much money as the haves, the Alabamas and the Michigans.
Sure.
But I also reminded you that universities like University of New Mexico are pulling $50 million a year just off the TV contract. They have money. They can do this.
So this is about players being able to profit from jersey sales and their likeness?
It's not just that. It's just the right thing to do. It's like me sitting and talking with my friends who are in the military. The military is an organization that's designed to protect the people that buy into the whole idea of states and federal governments, and we live here, we pay taxes. We are afforded that protection through our hard work and all that good stuff. Well, I appreciate everything a soldier does. They're young men who just left high school. They're going out in the world kind of like I was playing football, but the only big difference is their life's on the line, and what they're doing is real world situations. When you leave the military, they weigh your stuff. They cut you a check. My buddy told me he had a vehicle. He had enough stuff to fill a 2-bedroom house. He rolled out of the Coast Guard with $32,000. And that judge put that $5,000 cap on there for each year, and that trust is going to give you a $20,000 payment So I'm thinking to myself, that's about right. A man who serves his country gets a nice little payment and settlement, and a kid who goes out and makes $1 billion for an organization that does nothing but pay coaches inflated salaries and have boards of regents that make more money than the whole public education department.
That's why I don't think that's a great analogy, because it's not like the military is out there making us money. We're spending money on it.
Yes, they are.
Well, not
every bomb that goes off, someone gets paid.
No, well, yeah, but they're not making us like tax revenue. It's not like
they're the
not
cash
for our cow
country
behind the government. I mean, that's a big.
But there's whole communities built off of military defense spending. Colorado has whole towns. My brother works for a department.
Right. No, but what I'm saying is if you're joining the military, the reason why you're getting some sort of payment is because it's A, a job, and B, you're doing service for this country. If you're a member of a college football team, what you're doing is raising a tremendous amount of revenue directly for your university. So, I mean.
Yeah, but I often get in this argument with people, take away Title IX and I'll take that argument away. Because basically playing football, breaking my body in half, was so a bunch of girls and men could go play sports that nobody really gives a damn about unless there's an Olympic gold medal attached to it. Because I don't know the last time anybody in this community, Albuquerque, Bloomington, Indiana, where IU University is, has ever come to me and said, "Hey man, I'm so excited. Water polo's going on Saturday.
How dare you, Bo?
I'm so excited. The girls
I've got
lacrosse team
I've got
is
my
playing."
women's volleyball season tickets already purchased right here. I'm excited for the season. How dare you?
But they make all that money on the backs of two sports, basketball and football, and then they turn around and shell it out because of Title IX. So all of these other groups, teams, and organizations, and the football players who really did the work, the basketball players who really did the work, can't be compensated yet. A coach, which I do. It's the greatest thing on earth, people. I do it for free. The most I've ever made from coaching, I want to say, is $3,500. And the last time I checked, that's not breaking the bank. I would do it for free. And you would love to hear how many coaches would say that. I guarantee there's some guys on the top of that money earning list in college and NFL football that if they came to them and said, "Man, the money dried up, but could you guys do this for a couple of years for free?" They'd be like, "Oh, no problem. I'll coach football for free," because that's what we do. And, there's a lot of people that have attached themselves to these games. The chairmans of these groups like the BCS and this new tournament that's going to be, put together. These guys are nothing but a bunch of CEOs from other organizations that seen something that's making $1 billion a year and they jumped on and they're all getting paid. So the last thing that I'm going to sit here and say is that a bunch of kids who actually do the work aren't entitled to the money, because that's what the military started doing under Bush. I mean, they weren't handing out the checks they were handing out when my brother fought in the Gulf War, but I had buddies who went over to Iraq and they're coming back for their service getting $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 checks. Yes, again, they put their life on the line, but the way America works is you do service, you're going to be rendered some sort of payment. And the last time I checked, amateurism can be extended and construed in many different ways. Oh, they're amateurs. Oh, they're this. Well, nobody ever says anything about this. My brother fought in that military. He gets out, goes over to the same battles, the same wars, and is making $10,000 to $20,000 more a day than the same soldiers that are fighting the same battle. Everybody else can create their own markets and profit from it, but a bunch of football players and basketball players want to do the same thing, and everybody's up in arms, losing their minds. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, I saw this story. It was a video that was posted of the New York Giants Prince Amukamara at a bar mitzvah. He was partying with like a bunch of, basically 12 and 13-year-old Jewish kids, just having the time of his life.
Awesome.
He posted all these pictures and video on Instagram, and people were like, well, how the hell is he at some random kid's bar mitzvah? Well, he did a could hear that beer on the mic there, Bo.
Oh, man.
People were asking, well, how the heck did this happen? How did he wind up at this bar mitzvah? And he had an AMA on Reddit. which is an acronym Ask Me Anything. Basically, these celebrities go on there, create a thread, and random people ask them questions, and they answer the questions that they feel like answering. And one thing that I learned about Prince, somebody asked him, what's up with the name Prince? Where did that come from? And he is an actual prince. Did you know this, Bo?
No.
Yeah, get ready for some slaughtering of some pronunciation here. Prince Amukamara is of the royal Igbo Nigerian descent, and his grandfather was the chief of the Awomamo in the Imo state of Nigeria. He is currently next in line to be chief.
Wow, it's kind of like Mutombo.
Yeah. So this AMA had a lot of interesting things, but unlike or like any other public appearance that athletes make, it's usually to plug something, right? Well, in this case, Prince was plugging a website called Thuzio.com, Thuzio.com. And what this is, Bo, is it's a database of athletes, former players, coaches, broadcasters. And what it is it's like a brokerage for public appearances. Basically, if you have the money, you can get whatever famous celebrity athlete to come appear at your party. You can have lunch and dinner with some of them. You can go golfing with some of them. And it just lists all the prices. So they really have a variety of athletes on here. Just to give you a basic idea, for $7,500, you can have Tony Dorsett come to your party. Not bad. Here's some other names. Torrey Smith, R.A. Dickey, Roger Clemens, Jose Canseco, LaDainian Tomlinson. So, I mean, these are pretty much A-list personality. Steve Mariucci. It goes on and on. You can search by team. This kind of sounds like an ad for it. I just kind of thought it was a cool website.
That's what I'm going to do for my fantasy draft next year.
Like one of my good friends is a big Ravens fan. He's got a wedding coming up.
That'd be cool.
If they had Ray Lewis on here, and the prices for video messages, if you just want one of these celebrities to give you one of your friends congratulations.
Play it up on the big projector at the wedding.
$99 is what most of these.
That's awesome.
So if Ray Lewis was on there, I would totally buy that for my friend. But your boy T.O., a little strapped for money for an appearance. Like if you want him at your party, maybe have him over in the garage for some football. $7,500.
Oh, I could do it. Let's do it, man.
You just want to have lunch or dinner with him? $2,500. If you'd like a tweet from him, $2,500, and a video message, $99.
Now, I don't know what the rules are, but if we did get one of these celebrities, we could make him do the podcast, right? We'd be like, we gave you $4,500. You're not getting out of this.
I was thinking it'd be cool just to get like some of these celebrities to just do drops, like just pay the $99 for a video and just have, hey, you're listening to the Sean and Bo show. This is T.O. I'm going to go back to Goodwill and look for some clothes, something like that.
I always wonder businesses like this are if they're started by the kids and the young people who go to L.A. and New York to do the internships and the big publicists. The big agencies and things where they just basically get these stars and help them get more money and get themselves out there with sponsorship, because you would have to know some people. Like, this is a great idea. A lot of people have had ideas like this, but you got to know some people to pull this. You got to have some juice.
Yeah, all it really needs a credit card, and you can have one of your favorite celebrities at your party, which is just be kind of cool.
I think it's one of the things, like if I was a high school principal and there was somebody out there like that, principals and stuff get these crazy budgets sometimes to have people come speak to the kids. I could see getting rid of a few of the Smokey and the Bear impersonators and just spending a big chunk of change on one of these guys.
I think I even saw your homeboy, Rudy Rudiger on the site.
Gosh.
Maybe you can invite him over to the garage.
Rudy was first. Like, the website went up and they sent the email out and Rudy was on. They're like, who are you again, sir? Now, what did you do? You played one play in college football? In the silence, you could hear crickets.
And that website, again, it's Thuzio.com if you want to go check it out, Thuzio.com. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Sean and Bo Show. We'll be back next Monday. So until then, I'm Sean O'Donnell along with my co-host Bo Greer. Tip your pizza man.